Brian, the cupboard got bigger in terms of size today?
Obviously, I've been preaching that, and I don't think any of these players will make us bigger immediately. Virtually all of these guys, including our first pick, are going to need some time, and some of them are downright raw. These are guys 2, 3, 4 years away. But I think it shows our commitment to size and toughness. And I think, I can predict with some confidence we're going to try to take similar strides once July 1st comes. So this won't address our immediate need for size and toughness. We'll do that later in the summer. But I think people should read into it that we are, we're not just talking the talk about this. We intend to be bigger and cruder.
You went to North America for all of your picks.
That wasn't a big accident either. I mean, I think European players are extremely important in our league. I think that they've provided an element of skill and no team has won a Stanley Cup without European players. They're a vital part of things. But I think the mix has to be right, too. If you play the way we're going to play, I think you need some pick and shovel men, and we're looking for that type of player here.
Brian, how does Daryl Sutter acquiring the rights to Jay Bouwmeester change the landscape with July 1st approaching?
I predict that my phone's going to start ringing on Monday. I think the two big pieces were, or really three, was Scott Niedermayer going to play again, and he decided to, and that made Chris Pronger expendable. Once he moved, now the only question left was where would Jay Bouwmeester end up. Now that Jay Bouwmeester has moved now, I think that the focus shifts to Thomas Kaberle. I'm going to reiterate, though, this is a good person and a good player at a good number. And we're not going to trade him unless someone blows our doors off. Now, this is a guy that I expect will be back, but we're going to listen.
The fact, though, that he does become one of the premier defensemen available, do you expect that his value is just immediately elevated now?
It did. It did in the last couple hours, no question. And that, I think, will be reflected in the offers we get. But my starting point is I don't intend to trade him unless someone blows us away. I said this to you guys before. I know what's going to happen if we trade him. We're going to spend the summer chasing a puck-moving defenseman that makes more money than he does. So we'll see.
Want to go through the
national team development program twice? What do you like about players?
Well, the kids, you take the kids from the under-18 team, and they've all got commitments to school, or in case of one of the players, at least interest from a couple schools. It means they play a good schedule. It means they get very concentrated information and training on nutrition and weight training. And if you look, really, that's been the single biggest development in the development of hockey players for NHL purposes in the last 20 years. I'm very proud of the fact that I was part of the group that put that together. I was on the board of directors at USA Hockey when I worked at the NHL when that program was put in place. So I think it's produced a steady stream of players for colleges and the NHL.
Brian Jared D'Amigo is one of those players. What are your thoughts on him in particular?
Our guy's he's going RPI. I mean, that's a very difficult school. So you're talking about a guy that starts with a real high IQ, and he's going to a good program, and he's got 4 years to develop.
Kenny Ryan's athletic pedigree. Could have played football, it sounded like.
Yeah, I think so, and our guys think, he's a multi-purpose athlete in terms of the things he can do on the ice. He's got good skating ability, but he's also got size and some edge to his game.
Do you have a preference whether he goes to Windsor or Boston College?
I am, despite the fact that I don't look intelligent, I am way smarter than to answer that question. I cannot answer that question without getting in deep doo-doo with lots of people, so he can decide what's best for him.
How would you assess your draft overall?
It's everyone's happy after the draft. Every player you take is going to play. Your team's undefeated since the season ended. It's a day of hope, or 2 days of hope, and the reality doesn't kick in until you get a couple years down the road. So we're happy, but if you ask that question, the 29 other teams are happy too. We'll know how this draft works out probably in about 4 years.
It's a peculiar summer in terms of the draft is over with now, and then 3 or 4 days later now we got July 1st. Usually there's a little bit more time. How involved do you think you'll be right on July 1st, or will you sort of wait and see where the big names drop and then go from there?
We will be involved on July 1st. I think the doors open for business at noon. That's when we will start to get involved.
If the Swedish goalie doesn't make a decision by
Wednesday. Have you determined what you'll do with Pogge yet?
No, and again, I said to you guys, it's a difficult thing for Justin Pogge, and everyone thinks being a pro athlete's a lot of fun. There are times when it's not much fun, and for this young man who's a good kid to sit and wait for us to make up our mind, I'm not proud of that fact, and I'm not happy about that fact, and I feel for this kid. Unfortunately, that's the flip side of this business, and I don't know yet what we're going to do, and we'll see. And when in doubt, what you do with a good young player, when in doubt, is you send a qualifying offer, and then figure out later. So that's probably what will happen if, and I haven't talked to Justin about it, but I'm going to, once we figure out what we're doing.
Do you think the bidding on July 1st this year will be different than it's been in the past few since the lockout?
No. In what way? How would you?
Well, it seems like there's some uncertainty down the line about where the cap's
Oh,
going and
sorry.
everything. I mean, do you think like there'll be less money handed out than you've seen in general?
Yeah, my apologies. I thought you were saying that somehow less teams involved or whatever. In terms of will there be more caution and maybe more prudence in light of what the economy and what impact that will have down the road on the cap? Yes, I think there will be more caution. These economic, the conditions that affect us all now impacted on the bottom line in baseball in terms of player salaries almost immediately, almost instantaneously. And I predict that that's likely to happen here in terms of mainly on term. I don't think we see a big decrease in dollars, but mainly on term, I would say.
Are you surprised the cap figure isn't expected to go down, or would that be next year, do you think?
Next year. It lags economic reality by 12 months or 6 months. It's a historic figure more than a current one. So, we had our selling season complete before all the bad news started. Had season ticket money in, sponsorship money in, and I think you'll see the effect this year.
Brian, you made a change in your AHL coaching staff. What kind of direction do you want to go with your development in the American Hockey League?
Well, I think Greg Gilbert's a good coach and he's a good guy. It was really more that I'd like my own guy in there, and I don't think I want to be careful how I say this because it'll come out as a criticism, and it's not. I'd like to be more physical there. I don't think he was given the tools to do that, so it's not like I think he should have been more physical, but I want our players to come up to have learned our system, which is we play with an edge, we hit in all three zones, we try to dictate the game. To me, we try to be in double-digit hits every night in Anaheim, and we tried to hit in all three zones. Most teams are content to hit in two zones. And that's the style we're going to play. I think you can see that in the drafting today.
Do you expect that your guy to make that hire anytime soon, or?
Yes, probably in the next week or so.
Brian, your last pick, Barron Smith, one of those guys that's a Rob guy, but the size in a hockey family.
Got great bloodlines. Hopefully he won't show a propensity for shooting pucks into his own net out the goalie's foot. I had to get that shot in on his dad. But you take a kid that big at that age and with that drive, he's got a chance to be a real good player. So, yeah, we're betting there on potential more than anything else. Good bloodlines, big body, good snarl. Got a chance.
I don't know that there's been I don't think there's been a buyout yet in the league, and you said that wasn't something you wanted to do. You feel you'll continue along that path?
Yes. Our plan right now is not to utilize a buyout. As I said, you guys love to point out, we got 17 guys under contract for next year, I think. That's not going to be a problem. If a player is not ready to contribute, I'm prepared to, even if we get past the buyout date, I'm prepared to send money to the minors if I have to.